2024 is coming to a close, but it's been an awesome year here at Microcenter. We opened 2 new stores this year, and we have a whole new line of products that have come out over the last year that have been really awesome, especially for gamers. NVIDIA finished out their 40 series earlier this year, and then Intel launched their Arrow Lake CPUs, which is on a new architecture, so there's some really exciting things to look forward to in the future for that. And then AMD rolled out with their new Zen 5 architecture, and their 9000 series CPUs rolled out, and then the very famous 9800 X3D. It's been really awesome in terms of PC parts, and right now I want to put together a couple of different build options using our custom PC builder. And we're going to play around with it a little bit and see what are some awesome deals that you can get since the holiday season is almost at a close. Now, one thing I want to focus on is our exclusive 7600 X3D CPU, which is still readily available and is a really good budget performer. And who would have thought that at the end of 2024, the best budget build at about $1,000 or so for 1080p gaming would be an AMD CPU and an Intel GPU. Intel launched their new B580 GPU just last week, and with 12 gigabytes of VRAM, it is proving to be an amazing contender at that price point. Now, we're going to put together a build featuring that CPU and GPU, and let's see what we can get. So I'm going to go to our site, and you can navigate over to our PC Builder under PC Builders here. And our custom PC Builder is really awesome because it's a good way to put a part list together before you ever enter the store. So at least you can take an idea in terms of what we have in terms of inventory and in terms of compatibility. What's really nice about the PC Builder is that it'll automatically filter compatible parts based on the CPU that you pick. And for this, I want to start with our 7600 X3D bundle. Let's take a look here. Now you can see all of our bundle deals are readily available, and for the holidays we have tons of bundles going on right now, both from AMD and Intel. Right now I'm going to go with the AMD Ryzen 5 7600 X3D bundle, which comes with an Asus TUF Gaming B650 Plus Wi-Fi motherboard and 32 gigabytes of DDR5 6000 memory from G.Skill. That comes to $449 right now. And that covers all of the major core components right there. And you can see the bundle discounts here in the PC Builder. Go to our video card selection, and I'll type in B580. I'm going to go with the base Intel option right here, which is $249. I have the Sparkle that I used in a PC build that we just did this week. I actually really like the look of that card, and it has 3 fans, so you know it's going to run ice cold. But the base Intel version is going to run perfectly fine. Now, with CPU, motherboard, RAM, and GPU, we're already at $699, which actually gives us a lot of leeway in terms of getting other parts. Since we're saving money on our CPU and we're saving money on our GPU here, you could spend a little bit more in terms of storage or even a nicer case or power supply. So let's start with storage. I think I want to go for a 2 terabyte option, so I'm just going to filter right off the bat to 2 terabytes. Let's take a look at what we have available. Now, the 2 terabyte range for NVMe SSDs, at least for Gen 4s, are starting to come down in price quite a bit. And you can get them anywhere from about $110 to $140, somewhere in that range. And obviously we have sales all the time, so that's always worth checking. Actually, I got one right here with the Samsung 990 EVO 2 terabyte. $5 off when it's purchased with any CPU, motherboard, or system. So that'll bring it from $129.99 to $124.99. It's a pretty good deal. And 2 terabytes, I think, is a better starting range for gaming that's going to give you extra room because those games are starting to take up a lot of space. So 2 terabytes, I think, is the new 1 terabyte. So with the SSD, we're coming up to $824.97. Let's see what we can find in terms of case. I want to go for something that's going to have the fans already included. And this Montech Air 903 Max is actually a pretty good deal at $79.99. I did use this on one of our other builds, so it has the 3 intake fans. Those are 120 millimeter RGB fans, and it has a 140 millimeter outtake on the back. And that's going to be perfectly fine in terms of airflow. You can add additional fans to the top, and it's got enough room for a 360 rad, although it's going to be a little bit of a tight fit with a 360. Frankly, you don't need a 360 for the 7600 X3D. That might be overkill. And frankly, I might just go with an air cooler just to save a couple of bucks because I know that's going to keep that 7600 X3D ice cold. So we're rounded up to about $904. I'm going to go for an air cooler. Now, 7600X3D, that's going to be 6 cores, 12 threads, and I know that that's going to run pretty well, so I don't need to go overkill on the cooler. AIO is nice if you want to go for aesthetics, but frankly, I just want to go for just pure budget here. I don't want to overspend. So I'm thinking I'm actually going to go with this 1999 Cooler Master Hyper 212. It's got the RGB fans, so that's going to match the fans on the front, and that's going to look perfectly fine. 924. And that still gives me plenty of room for our power supply. And the nice thing here is that our estimated wattage, 367 watts. So this is running pretty lean in terms of power draw. That Intel Arc B580 paired with that AMD Ryzen 5 7600X3D, the power draw isn't gonna be huge. So I can get a lower wattage power supply. I'm thinking let's aim for a 650. That's going to give us a little bit of overhead in case I do ever want to upgrade components. If you're going to step up to any beefier components down the line, because that motherboard will support other AMD CPUs, you could step up to a 9800X3D with the same motherboard. So that's always an upgrade that you can do down the line. And of course, you can always upgrade your motherboard as well. So if you're planning on doing any beefier upgrades down the line, you just want to get this budget build now and then kind of piecemeal things out over the next few years. Looking forward, you want to give yourself some more room with that power supply. So I would actually recommend going for 750 or even 850 just to get you some extra headroom there. But if you don't plan on growing and you want to keep the system static for the most part, maybe just add a couple of drives, which isn't going to draw too much anyway, then I think just going for a 650 just to save a couple bucks right now is a really good option. So for power supply, so we have a good power spec option with a semi-modular power supply, 650 watts, 80 plus bronze, that'll do pretty fine. What else do we have here? Now 80 plus gold for $74.99. But I think I'm going to go for the $59.99 option because I know that that's going to work really well with this system. And I'm really trying to challenge myself to come in under that $1,000 mark here. And look at that, that just about covers it. We've got our CPU, our motherboard, our RAM, our video card. We have our 2 terabytes of storage, which maybe we spent a little extra on, but I think it's worth it. We have our case, power supply, and our cooler. That's a build right there, $984.94. Honestly, that's a really, really good deal. You're walking away with 1080p gaming that you can run very, very smoothly. Now, these Intel Arc cards are getting better and better all the time. There's going to be better driver support down the line as well for a lot more games, so you can expect really good performance right out of the box. And you can check any review going on right now. There's nothing but glowing things being said about the Arc B580 GPU. Honestly, I think it's a really good combo, especially if you want to save a couple of dollars. For a GPU at this price range to do the type of performance that it's doing, plus the 12 gigabytes of VRAM, that's pretty awesome. I always like to save the link so I can kind of look back at some PC parts that I've picked out with our PC builder. And the cool thing is you can always share these links with friends, so you can always get feedback, or maybe if you want to swap out components or you want to recommend your friend to swap out some components. It's a very easy way to share this, so that's always kind of fun. And remember, we always have the same day pro assembly as well. So you can pick out all of the parts, you can pick out the same day pro assembly, and as long as you put the order in the system at least 4 hours before close, our technicians at the Knowledge Bar will assemble it for you same day. So you can come right in when it's ready, they'll send you over an email, and you can just pick it right up from our Knowledge Bar. And that's really, really awesome because it gives you full customization with your build, but you know that it's assembled in an expert manner. And that's always great. Now I want to put another build together, and for this one, I want to go all out. I want to really go for a great CPU, which is going to be the 9800X3D, spoilers. And I want to go for a great GPU. I want something, it's probably going to cost a little bit more. I'm aiming probably anywhere from like $1,500 to $2,000, but I want something that's going to do rock solid 1440p gaming, high refresh rate gaming, high frame rate gaming, and I want something that's going to be able to keep up and also just last a really long time. So CPU, definitely thinking 9800X3D, because that's just the best that you can get right now. So I'll pick that one out. And then for motherboard, there's tons of different filters that you can use to filter through all of the different options. So if you don't know specifically what you're looking for, if there's very specific functionality that you want, then you could just filter for that. So for instance, I know that I'm going to want a motherboard that has Wi-Fi 7. That's going to give me some of the fastest wireless speeds, and that's going to pull up this Gigabyte X670E Aorus Pro. This motherboard is white. Now I'm leaning towards doing an all-white build. Now, white components typically cost ever so slightly more than your normal black or silver components, but I think it's worth it if you really want a really nice aesthetic. We're already at $809 if you're combining the CPU with the motherboard, but do always keep an eye out for our bundles. We update them all the time, so you could wait for a 9800 X3D bundle in the future, but again, you just got to keep checking us out and making sure that you get the best deal. Now, I can filter our heatsink color, so white aluminum. There we go. Now we've got all of our white heatsink options. G-Skill Trident. I'm thinking 64 gigabytes, and I know that this is an AMD CPU, so I'm going to want to stick with 2 sticks of memory instead of going with 4. So I think 2 32 gigabyte sticks, DDR5 6400, that's going to work just fine. And they're going to look really great with those LED strips there. So this is really coming together. And I can filter by color for GPU as well. So if you're going for that aesthetic build, it's really easy to select the color that you want and then go from there. I'm thinking 4070 Ti, maybe 4080 Super. I know that there's a 4080 Super option in white that I really like, and I believe that was, here we go, Zotac NVIDIA 4070 Ti Super, so 16 gigabytes of VRAM, which I think is going to be awesome. $829.99. Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, there we go. I like the way this guy looks. Because the Zotac one has a really nice blue strip there where it says Zotac Gaming. And I like that it has the rounded corners on it instead of being kind of like a big square. Aesthetically, I think it looks maybe a little bubbly, but I think it'll look really cool. Yeah, I really like the way that one looks. So I'm going to go with the Zotac 4070 Ti Super. And I'm going to start off, I think I'm going to want another 2 terabyte. And actually, let's see, what do we have? We'll go for capacity, 2 terabytes. Yeah, SN850X, 2 terabyte. Let's go with this guy here. Now, fortunately, your SSD is going to be covered by a heatsink most times anyway, so you're not going to see that component, so you don't have to find that in white. That makes things a little bit easier. Now, for case, I'm thinking I really like that NZXT H9. Yeah, that's going to look sweet. I really like this case a lot. And let's double check. Does this come with the fans? Has tons of fan bays, included fans, 4 120mm fans. So I see 3 on the intake, 1 on the outtake there. So we can get some additional fans from them. Now for this guy, I'm going to want to give myself a little bit more overhead on the power supply. Our estimated wattage on the calculator here is saying 558 watts with that 4070 Ti Super and the 9800 X3D. So I'm thinking let's aim for an 850. I think that should do us pretty fine. And again, I can sort by color, which is always really helpful. So 850 watt, we get a couple in that option. We do have the Lian Li Edge, which is kind of nice because it gives you those extra USB headers that you need. If you want to go all in on Lian Li fans and their AIO, it takes a lot of USB headers, and sometimes you can use a splitter, but now they have it built into the power supply, so everything just runs there, which is actually a really nice feature. But I'm thinking I'm going to go all in on NZXT on this one. Corsair has a really nice white, fully modular power supply here, 850 watt plus gold. That one's looking pretty good. And I'm thinking AIO for this guy. I want to go NZXT. Yeah, I'm a really big fan of the Elite RGB 360mm rad. We use that in a couple of other builds. I just like how big the screen is on that. It looks really, really nice. Also, I found out that the screen on there, you can play YouTube videos from a playlist, which is hilarious. We were running a bunch of microcenter YouTube videos on the AIO screen. I mean, the amount of things that you can do with some of the components in a PC now is just insane with all the different screen options that they have for the cases, the AIO, even on the fans. There's a lot that you can do there. And I think that just about wraps it up for this one. We have our CPU, we have our motherboard, RAM, video card, we have our storage, case, power supply, and our cooling. I'm thinking we can get a couple of additional fans, and we can go with NZXT and get some of the options there. Now we have a 3-pack of the RGB fans in white. And let me double check that this is going to match the ones that are already built into the case. The nice thing is that you can click on any component and it brings up all of the specs on the spec sheet here. So at least at a glance, you can get an idea of what else you might need, because I know it says it includes the 4 120mm fans. And I'll take a look at the product page and see what those fans look like. Yeah, got it. Okay, so I think this is the one with the ring around it. So I think for case fans, there we go. Throw in a pack of 3 more fans. AIO is going to probably go on the top. We'll have some more intake on the bottom. That'll give you plenty of airflow. So I said I was aiming for 1500 to 2000, but going for the all white build, I went a little all out. So we're looking at $2699 for this guy. But again, you're getting top tier performance in terms of that CPU. You're getting top tier performance in terms of that GPU, because frankly, 4070 Ti Super, basically a 4080 at this point, and 16 gigs of VRAM is going to get you very, very far. Not just for gaming, but also in terms of AI and even creative productivity. If you get into any 3D modeling or anything else, this is going to be a rock solid combo. And aesthetically, it's going to look phenomenal. The other thing too is pair it off with a really nice looking mouse, desk mat, keyboard, monitor. We do have monitors in white as well, so you can get an entire aesthetic going for your desk, and it's gonna look pretty sweet. And that's kind of just a glance of what you could put together with our custom PC builder. I like doing these videos because it gives me an opportunity to just play around with a lot of different parts, and we can theory craft different builds very quickly. And it's a really good way to just get an idea of what you would want for your next PC build. Always keep an eye out for any deals or bundles, because we have them all the time. So make sure you check out microcenter.com and check out all of our awesome deals going on. And remember, the holidays are almost over, so stop on by for any last minute gifts or anything else you might need. With all the Steam sales that are coming up, it's definitely a really good time to upgrade your Steam or game library, but also upgrade your PC. So make sure you stop by your local Micro Center. If you don't have a Micro Center near you, remember to comment #IWantAMicroCenter near me.